Call the meeting to order. I'll stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You were serious about the pledge. We should be. That's for sure. Thank you, and welcome to our town council meeting. I always like to start with just a moment of silence so that we can reflect on the past and just also on the future. And of course, we have to keep in mind those who are dealing with a virus, any virus, the flu, coronavirus, and its potential. But just remember not to panic, but to keep yourself safe. We could just take just a few moments to reflect. Thank you. Thank you. Again, I thank you for being here. I just need to, for a council member, if you would, make a motion to take us into a closed session. Just to let you know, we're going to go into a closed session just very quickly, very briefly, to discuss a personnel matter, and then we will return to this meeting. So if I could get a motion to go into the closed session and to return into our general session.
I make a motion that we go into closed session and come back after the closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we can go into the police department real quick.
You can have anyone you want.
So yeah?
You can have anyone.
Is there a motion to go back into our regular meeting?
And move we.
I make a motion to go back into a regular meeting.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
And those who wasn't paying attention.
All right, the next item, we're back in session. So the next item on the agenda is our public comment. Did anyone sign up, Ms. Avery?
They did. Sonata?
Didn't she?
Hi, I'm Donata Bryan, and I reside at 4811 Hamilton Street. Probably about 4 to 6 months ago, I brought it to the mayor and town council about Roby's Towing not having a use and occupancy permit, and the response I got that he was working on it. I guess I have a problem with that because my husband's been in business here in the town for over 40 years, and he's had his licenses up to date. And I happened to call the county today, and they have no record of Roby having any type of use and occupancy permit. And I don't see how he can still be having a business and operating. And it's just a little odd that I see it on this agenda from the code enforcement officer when I happened to mention it to her. I believe it was on either Friday or Monday. And I'm just curious, you know, how he can still be operating a business.
Okay. Are you asking me the question? Or are you asking
Yeah, I'm asking the question because I'm actually doing a follow-up from 6 months ago when I stood here and asked the same question. Mm-hmm. And he's still operating, and then it didn't seem like there was any follow-up, and then I call, and it was hard to get through, and the lady, and I explained to her, and she gave me another number, mm-hmm. and they had no record when they cross-referenced the address or the name of the business.
Right. So we can follow up on that. I don't have the updated status on that. You didn't.
I mean, but it's the same thing because 6 months ago.
I couldn't possibly tell you. I couldn't. I don't know if anybody at the table can tell you if he has one or not. I know I can't tell you. Mm-hmm. So
I just think there's lack of communication and follow-up, mm-hmm. you know, and if you're going to do for one, you like I've said before, you're going to do for them all.
Absolutely.
And if he's not operating like he should, then he should be shut down until he has the proper
Till he does.
permit.
Absolutely. I agree.
You know, so am I going to stand here another 6 months and say the same thing?
So who
I
normally
hope
checks on
not.
that?
So
You know who checks on that?
I'll speak on it. So we have been working with Nicole, like I told you guys, on not just use of occupancy permits, but vacant properties, the rental license agreements, and those things. I did mention it to her about the UNOs on a lot of locations. If you look at, well, I guess when we get to the code report, you'll look that was added. I'm not sure because you mentioned it to her that was added in there, but I did send a notification off to her and Captain Sullivan to give me an update on the licensing. And I think there were some issues with the transfer of ownership, and the application was submitted, but the transfer of ownerships, and so that's what we're waiting on. And I guess I can have a more follow-up with you sometime tomorrow or Friday.
Well, I think that even if it's a transfer of ownership, usually they give you such an amount of time in order to do so. You know, and that honestly, that came out of Mr. Barnes's mouth when I asked before that the same thing was being worked on. So where is the follow-up?
I agree with you, and I'll tell you this: this is the first that it has been brought to my attention from one of our residents. We keep up with it in general, but this is the first that somebody's actually brought it to my attention to put it on the forefront.
Well, the reason why is because they drive those trucks like uncontrollably down Lafayette. And they have no regard for the kids when they blow past the stop signs, even if they have a car on the back of their truck. You know, and the traffic on the weekends for people, I guess, that got their cars impounded, it's unbelievable. It's really bad.
So, who was the gentleman you had me meet when we walked out and we went to his yard? We was down there. He was working in the yard, and we talked about enforcement, the traffic enforcement over there. So a lot of the residents, I'm still getting to know.
Oh, Mr. Johnson.
So we actually me and Rod took a ride down there, and this is things that we do periodically now, and so it's good to hear those comments because necessarily I would not know. So what happens is that I believe that our community is our biggest stakeholder. So I want you to have my contact information. So when we see these violations or that you see the constant, I want you guys to get in contact with our police department so that we can go out and enforce. Rules, we all believe that rules apply to everyone. The law applies to everyone, not the select few. So we will certainly get enforced. And when things are brought to my attention as the police chief, then it is my obligation to get on top of it. So I don't know. I can't speak to what happened in the past, but let me assure you that we will have an answer for you, and we'll make sure that it's follow up and looked into.
Yeah, because a lot of the residents are complaining also about the noise as far as the loud music. Not only do we deal with that, we can be sitting in our houses and literally our walls will vibrate. And we also are dealing with Riverdale with a resident there's two houses, one Lafayette. And it gets a little out of hand when you're trying, 10, 11 o'clock at night, trying to watch TV or going to bed and the music's so loud. So that was one of the things.
Your Honor, I can address Donata's question about, it didn't just show up on this report, it's been on the report every month since she started issuing the licenses. Prior to the license issues for this past year, the town issued licenses without verifying UNOs. They do not issue business licenses now without doing it, having a UNO in place. They do allow businesses time to obtain that UNO, and they work with them to get that. Mr. Keebler at Keebler Construction, the old elementary school, took 12 years. So he didn't have a license from us, but he operated there for 12 years till he got the use and occupancy permit as he went through that process with planning and zoning. So I'm not saying that Roby's is going to take 12 years, but I do know that Nicole
He's been there over 20.
Yeah, I know that she started working with them way back when, and she's continued to monitor and work with that to get that use and occupancy permit.
When you call, Donata, do they give you like a timeline of how long it takes to get a UNO?
No, mainly they cross-referenced the name and the address, and nothing was coming up in their system whatsoever.
UNOs don't have a time necessarily. They give you a list. The county inspector comes out. They give you a list of all the non-compliance issues, and you have to check those off and get
But he'll
the
never
county
do it.
inspector back, and then that inspector will approve it. Then you go on through the stages to get your UNO. But
Okay.
it's a very lengthy process sometimes if
Yeah.
you aren't meeting all the requirements.
And I know our school had to do the same thing when we were trying to get a before and after care, and we were trying to get a UNO, but there was specific timelines. Like they said, this has to be done, and then you have X amount of time to fix this. Then somebody will come back out and re-inspect it. But they tell you how much time you have to.
If you
do
don't,
it, so.
I mean, they come back out, and if it's still not right, and they give you more time to do it, the
Right.
way they want it, it
Yeah.
can end up being a very lengthy time.
So, and my other thing I guess y'all kind of brought up earlier about was the printing. I just now got the casino notice the other day, and I just think that I have to agree with Mrs. White on this. I think that especially you put that money out and nobody could see the future as far as this coronavirus. But I think that's a lot of money wasted when we could hand deliver them, make copies. I mean, yeah, it's nice in color and stuff like that, but you're talking about cutting money and stuff like that. And I want to commend you, Sarah, as far as making the comment as far as cutting down on the price as far as what you said earlier about the almost 25,000. So that's it.
Thank you. And unfortunately, and I just want to make mention of the postcard going out. Unfortunately, the postcard went out before the heightened caution or the request for caution concerning the coronavirus. So it was sent out because we were going to have the casino night, but we had to cancel it, you know, based on caution. So thank you for your comments. But I also want to make comment. I think that Ms. Lane made the comment about the postcards and spending the money. Yeah, is that correct? Yeah. Again, thank you.
No, mine was more of a solution.
So let's move on to the old business. Is there a motion to table the consideration of approval of the lease with Capital Land Development for parking spaces?
I move we table.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, yeah. Land Development, and it's after review from our attorney, and just after, we need to review, our attorney needs to review it. So we're going to table that until March 24th, our next meeting.
Okay. I move we table consideration of approval of the lease with Capital Land Development until we consult with the town attorney.
Yeah.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, so that item is tabled. And the next item is the consideration of approval for the following minutes, which is the work session minutes from February the 12th, and our closed session minutes from February the 12th, and also our council meeting minutes from February the 12th. Is there a motion to approve all minutes?
We have questions, so we can make a motion.
Oh, you can make the motion, then you can
I make a
discussion.
motion that we approve minutes February 12th, closed session February 12th, and then the regular meeting February 12th.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Johnson, is that you? Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
And all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any discussion?
Yes, did we decide, when we talked about the use of the electric vehicle tell. Was that North Brentwood or Brentwood?
Brentwood.
It was Brent. Okay, so North Brentwood is everywhere in here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you just need to change it to Brentwood. 'Cause I wasn't sure. I thought it was Brentwood, but I wasn't sure. So just change it in.
You mean using the
proceed.
electricity?
Yeah.
Use the plug-in.
Thank you. That's fine.
Thank you. All righty. The next item is the introduction of our police officer candidate, Mr. Cedric Hayward. Chief.
Mr. Hayward, as we discussed in our closed session, Mr. Hayward comes with us with almost 10 years of experience in Prince George's County Policing. He's excited to join the team here at Edmonston. He is even more excited about leading us in our Explorer program and some of the youth programs that we talked about that we wanted to move forward in the next fiscal year. He is a native of Prince George's County. He is extremely excited to come under such a great police chief. And that is a direct reflection of the great leadership the choice that you all made when you brought in this police chief back in December. So I'm excited to present him for consideration.
Thank you, Chief. I am so happy and excited. I was ecstatic when we were able to hire our police chief finally, and we already see wonderful changes that have been made, and it's great to finally increase our police force with some energetic and willing police officers and someone that wants to come to Edmonston, that's leaving a good job to come to an even better job in Edmonston. So thank you so much. And at this time, I'll accept a motion to hire candidate Cedric Hayward.
I make a motion we hire candidate Cedric Hayward.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
Second.
Very much. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Great. Motion passes. Welcome aboard.
When will be the
Yes, ma'am.
start date?
So we discussed it with him. He's currently on the midnight shift in District 4, and if you know, that shift is kind of they're short staffed when they work this shift. So I would not want to take him from them while they're short staffed on that shift. So that's another. How long are you still on midnights?
2 weeks.
Another 2 weeks on midnights, and then I want him to make sure he gives proper notice to the county. So we're looking at. We talked about this possibly the second week in April, maybe.
Second week.
And Mr. Hayward comes with, he looks rather young, but he comes with tons of experience, believe it or not. So he's a true asset. The next item is the consideration of the following residents to the election board. We'll have Ms. Frida Parks for Ward 1, Monique Burden for Ward 2, and our election judge will be Ms. Audrey Pabs Garner.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Why are we replacing everyone at the same time? Is there a reason?
Ms. Audrey has served almost every year on the election board.
Audrey?
Audrey Pabs Garner.
So she's not going to be the judge?
Yes.
And you said she served in years past.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Ms. Parks is the new one. Ms. Parks is new. Monique Burton has served not on our town council. Did she do it last year, town council? She does the general elections.
Oh,
So she's not new to it either.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, because I was curious.
The only one that is
Frida?
new is Ms. Parks, yes.
Okay.
Ray is not doing it this year?
I can answer that as soon as we make this motion, pass this motion. So is there a motion to approve the following judges, or the judges that were indicated?
Yeah, but I was curious as to, is there a reason why you decided to switch things
Yeah,
up?
can we do the vote?
And then we're gonna discuss it. Okay. Well, I won't be able to vote until I get an answer, so I'm gonna abstain.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the following election board?
I move we approve the election board candidates.
Thank you.
Yeah, second.
Thank you. Now, the discussion. Oh, Ms. White, I'm sorry.
You asking for my vote?
Yes.
I abstain.
And Ms. B, you're abstaining as well. Okay. And I vote aye. I know you can say I'm not abstaining.
You don't have a tie.
Yeah, we do. 2 and 2. They voted.
They're not voting now.
They motioned and second. And they abstained.
Right.
That's doing
So
nothing.
right.
So it passes.
Generally, it's not interpreted that way, but
No, it's
there's not a vote. It's just not a vote, so there's no tie.
So you have 2 that abstained and 2 that motioned and agreed.
Right, but you need 3. I know you're the 3 if you have a tie.
Right.
But that's a tie vote. That's if somebody votes one way or the other, as opposed to
So
abstain.
you just need to ask these two what their vote is?
No, she did.
Oh,
We know what it is.
She made a motion, I second it.
okay. I guess I'm a little confused.
I am too now.
Yeah. Well, I think the request was to ask the questions. You've got the motion on the table, so you can talk about it. When the request to talk about it was made earlier, there was nothing on the
So
table.
does this mean that the motion dies?
Yeah, because you have 2 people who've declined to vote.
And then you have 3 people that voted.
Right, but you vote in the case of a tie.
Absolutely. That's 2 that voted and 2 that didn't.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
That may have been, and that may be the interpretation you've been working on. I'm not going to say that you can't have that interpretation. It's up to you as to when the mayor gets to vote. It's up to the council.
so motion passes.
Did you say it's up to the council?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
You said up to who?
The
right,
council.
the council.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what you said.
So how would the council, so what is the council going to do? Can you explain how is it up to the council and how we settle this, how we can move forward?
If the council has interpreted it in the past that people who are abstaining are actually voting no, so that you can create a tie, that there is a tie, then you get to vote. If there's a tie and it's been interpreted that not voting is voting no.
Is it possible for us to allow this, like if this motion were to die, then we could just have a discussion and then we would all need to vote and
We
be on
just
the
have
record?
to agree on that, I guess.
But you can do that now anyway. It's on the table. You have the motion on the table and it's been seconded, so you can certainly talk about it. That's usually how it's done. But if the interpretation has historically been that there's a tie if people don't vote at all, then continue with your interpretation.
The thing is, we wouldn't get anywhere with abstaining. If we abstained all of our votes and went with 2 abstaining and 2 motioning, then we would get nowhere if there isn't the option for the 3rd person to break the difference.
But we've done
that's
this
how
before.
I'm interpreting it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
we've
that's
had
the
it
problem.
And that's how
And
we've interpreted it, I think. was
Yes.
for Tracy to be the tiebreaker.
I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry,
go
say it
ahead.
again.
You
No, I
can
didn't hear
finish
what you
your
said.
thought.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said.
if we've had it before, I thought that we interpreted it as Tracy was the tiebreaker.
We didn't. When we had it before, the motion died. When we did it
There's no
before.
consensus as to
That's-
how we're gonna do it
We're-
going forward.
And I mean, we have to.
I always
that's what
thought
I
it was
remember.
the mayor broke the tie.
Absolutely.
Not in this situation, because
Absolutely.
we abstained. It's not like we voted no, we abstained. So it's a different, scenario.
If it's two.
All I
and
wanted was a
two,
discussion, that's all
it's
I
a
wanted.
tie.
And that's all we were going to get after we have the vote. You may,
I can't vote on something that I don't have no clarity on.
well,
So I wanted some confirmations. I wanted to understand why we decided to change the judge. Was there a reason, you know? Because I thought that's something that we as council would be all aware of, that as to why and when and who we're changing. So that's all I'm saying. As a council member, I think it's in within my rights to question why all of a sudden we decided to change the election judge. That's
it
all.
is absolutely within your rights to question it. And I'm not saying that you can't, and I don't think anyone else is saying that you cannot. All I said, these are the judges that have been presented, and we were asking for a vote. If you decline on these individuals, then we can move forward. But you abstained. I mentioned that we can have the discussion after the vote. It wasn't that we couldn't have a discussion. We just need to take a vote. That was it.
I would feel better, more informed, making a
And is this the
decision
first time
if I
that
had all
you've
my
seen
answers.
their names?
Yeah. When I picked up my paperwork, I saw it, but then I was surprised. I was like,
Oh, you didn't? What? When did you pick up your paperwork?
I picked up my paper a few days ago.
Okay, and the question wasn't presented to.
I thought I
The
could get an
clerk
answer
or-
now. I thought we were going to have a discussion during the work session, but the
Yeah.
work session went longer, so they get an opportunity. And that was the first time I have an opportunity to discuss it, so I wanted to ask the question.
So we're still at the standstill, but I'm willing to allow it to die, if that's what we need to do. So is there? Well, you don't even have to make a motion to let it die. Let's just let it die. All right, motion died. So, so excuse me. The reason that it's changed, and the only thing that changed was the judge. Really, who was Ward 1 before? Byron, and Byron did not want. Well, he couldn't do it. Time constraints did not allow him to do it. It was recommended and decided that we were going to change our judge. Now, someone did tell the judge ahead of time that she wasn't judge anymore before we were able to contact her and get that out. But anyway, it was a decision that was made.
By you.
And we have an election committee too.
So it's made by the committee or by
Well, I agreed to it. Yes, I did.
okay.
I agreed to it, and actually I made a recommendation. Yep, I did.
Was she not doing her job effectively as a judge?
That's something that I wouldn't want to discuss in front of and
but yeah,
on
because I'm just
camera.
curious as to why all of a sudden she's been doing it for many years.
She has been doing it for many years, and we have a certificate for her, thanking her for her service. It's okay to change. I don't think we're breaking any rules or anything like that. Has anything been broken?
No one alleged that. No one alleged anything.
And I haven't heard of any. I didn't know that you or anyone else or Ms. White felt so strongly about the previous judge, or I don't know if it. I don't know. I think it's fair. I don't think that. I think someone else could have the opportunity that wants to do it. Just like elections,
Yeah, I understand.
anybody has the right to.
So how was the process done? Were other candidates considered for the judge? Judge
Yeah, just like we said, Mr. Hope. He
I
didn't
know
agree.
he was.
We don't have to have a long list of candidates. We just try to get someone that'll do it.
So then you're saying that because I did ask Stacy, who does a lot of volunteering here, if someone came to her to ask her if she was interested in it, and she said no. So if I just say we had maybe 4 or 5 people that we were, that were interested. You said you want to come to somebody that's interested. We have 4 or 5 people who were interested. Say we had these people, and then you added Miss Marie, that's her name, right? Marie, and Stacy to the list of people. How would we narrow down that list? Because we only need 3 people, right? Because Stacy's from Ward 2.
There's a consensus that occurs. Like who? We just make a decision.
Okay.
That's it. I believe I appoint. Is that correct?
Well, council approves the board.
No, the recommendation. I recommend.
Oh, yeah. Somebody can make a recommendation.
Yeah.
I mean,
and no one did. I mean,
we've been to recommend.
Yeah.
I think it's just you come to agreement on an election board.
And we've had this out here.
But it's basically we're being told.
The thing is, we've had this. This is an election period, and in the minutes, this was also placed. I believe our last meeting, it was mentioned that we need election judges.
No. We'll look at the
There's
transcript.
no way that.
We never discussed it.
No, but there's no way that you know that an election is coming up that you don't believe that we're going to pick election judges. I don't know why I'm being questioned this year as opposed to 3 years ago.
Because this year
And
it's all
the same
different.
process.
It's completely different. It's like.
But it was the same process. And Mr. Hope, I believe that was his first year. Was that last year?
Yeah.
Was his first year. And I didn't get questioned about Mr. Hope or anyone else that was on there. The main one that's changing is the election judge. And maybe that's your concern? Because after talking with her or whatever the issue is, that might be it. But there is nothing personal against Ms. Johnson. It's just a change.
I was asking a question.
I can't
There's
change.
no need-
I can't
there's no
say
need for you to
anything
infer
different.
anything. I'm asking a question because this year
I know, but it's just
it looked foreign to me because I looked at the names and the only name I recognized was Frida Parks, and I know she doesn't have the experience. You're telling me that this Gabon has served. She served the last 3 years ago when we had the last election. She was a clerk. Is that what you're telling me? Miss Gabon was a clerk last.
She was.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and she
okay,
does
so
the
Byron
general
is gone.
elections.
Byron is gone, and Miss Jackson is gone. Okay, so that's why I'm asking a question. I've been told, especially being a teacher, you ask questions, and that's why I was asking you the question. So I don't know what you're talking about the woman or whatever. I'm just asking a question because I want clarification.
No,
so,
I want to be.
So if
I
someone
wanna be
asks me,
clear with what
how
I'm
come you
thinking.
changed the election judge? I don't know. And as a council member, I don't feel that's an appropriate answer to tell a resident. I don't know, and I still don't know why we changed the judge. But you're saying, but you said that you said that that's something. I don't want to put words in your mouth. So you're saying that that's something that you felt was necessary.
It was a consensus
Okay.
that change is good.
Okay.
I believe Miss Johnson has been
Jackson.
Miss Jackson. I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson. Miss Jackson, Marie Jackson, has been the judge since the 70s. Since the 70s. So it is okay for change.
I understand it's
Other
looking for change.
opportunities.
I'm just saying, as a council member, I don't think I should learn about it from this. We should, when we had our last work session, that should have been something that we discussed. That's all I'm saying.
No, I hear that. I
Yeah,
hear
that's
you.
something we should have
I hear you.
discussed. I shouldn't learn about it here.
And you definitely have the right now to deny it, to vote no, and not to approve it. If you don't agree with it, you don't have to.
I know that.
And so we could move forward from this.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's one of the answer. That's all. Thank you.
Absolutely. I don't have a problem with it. Nothing is done underhanded. You might want to make it appear that, but it's not done underhanded.
Please don't put words in my mouth. Please don't question my
No, I
actions.
did not.
Please do not
Excuse
do
me.
that.
I did not put words in your mouth.
Don't question my
I am
actions.
clarifying my actions, that nothing was done underhanded. We try our best to keep you informed and do things accordingly. Now, according to you, we may miss the mark. It may be that maybe the communication didn't get to you as soon as you thought it should or how you thought it should. But a question could have been made to myself or Mr. Barnes prior to this meeting. There is nothing we're trying to hide from the community, and we're definitely not trying to hurt anyone in the community.
And to answer your question,
that's my...
that was been done in the work session, but we never got a chance
we didn't
to
get
discuss
a chance
that.
to
Right,
get to
so
it. Yeah. Okay.
So
I'm going to propose the motion again. I think I've clarified.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So, my take on it, and for me, it's just the fairness of it. Because I know she's been doing it for years, and I was kind of surprised to not see her name here. And so I was just curious to know why she decided not to, because I just thought she decided not to. I didn't realize nobody had asked her, you know, and she, I guess, assumed she was going to do it. So, but nobody came to her and, you know, and asked her and gave her the opportunity to say yes or no or maybe. And we could have easily said, well, you know, if you would like to do it this year, but as of next election, we're going to make a change. That's what I think would have been the fair thing. The other thing is, again, I don't know, I thought of Stacy, and I guess I thought of Frida too, but I know I thought of Stacy only because she volunteers so much in the town. And so I thought that would be, you know, a good opportunity for her to be a part of the election. So I asked her, I said, well, did anybody come to you and ask you? And she said no. So my thing was, did we ask people, or we just decided this is who we're going to put in?
I have nothing else to, I have no further comment on this. I'm not going to do it. Did you have a comment or anything on it? So I want to make a motion and we can move forward with it. Either you're going to agree or you're not. But I'm not going to be interrogated about this decision. Not tonight. So if you don't agree on it, then we have to come back to the table. So is there a motion to approve the election judges for the election board for Ward 1, 2, and our judge?
I thought the motion died.
For discussion, because you abstained. So you need to make a vote. The no, the nay, or the yay.
Okay. I vote nay.
Is there a motion to approve first?
Oh, I move we approve.
Is this done correctly? Because
Excuse me, I'm sorry. There's a motion on the floor now. So, is there a second?
There's nothing wrong with a motion being made again.
Okay.
And now Ms. Lane
Nay.
and Ms. White.
I abstain.
So what's the guidance, Mr. Attorney?
I know generally speaking, an abstention is viewed as a non-vote one way or the other. I have seen situations where people...
Well, then in this case, it would pass then, because it was 2 to 1.
But she voted nay,
Right.
so.
That's quorum.
And you've got 2 out of the... You need 3 out of the 4. You're saying that because she's abstaining, she's taking herself out of the quorum?
No, what are you
Right,
saying?
because if she had been, if we had a quorum the first time around, by them abstaining, then that would mean it would have passed 2 to 0. Right, so if now we've got...
No,
2 to
you always
1.
need 3.
Okay, so, but, right, so we've...
Because you always have to
3
have
voted.
at least 3 here.
3 voted.
Right, we've got everybody here, though. The problem with the interpretation that abstentions mean that that's always going to negate the mayor's power. And that
Right,
cannot
and
be what the
have
intention of
I seen that done before, intentionally? Yes, I have. Okay, I have seen it done before when a council member wants to get around the rules. I've seen it done intentionally.
by abstaining rather than actually
Yes.
voting.
Which is,
Well, I don't think our council members want to do that.
right.
No, I abstained,
wouldn't-
but she voted.
I know, but I understand that. But the question that's being raised is, how do you count an abstention, frankly? Do you count it as a tie, as a vote in essence, or not?
It's not in our charter.
It just says if there's a tie. as I recall.
I think you have to count it as a non-vote, which means you get then something. So if you get 2 abstentions and 2 yays, then the thing has to pass. Now, if you get 2 yays and 2 nays, then the mayor has to vote. So technically, I feel like this should have passed the first time around.
I think so. I don't see a turn though.
And I said after the last one, when we were talking about the last vote, if your interpretation has been that abstentions are the same as a nay vote, then go with your interpretation.
So can we do this vote here? The 2 yays, the 1 nay, and the 1 abstention.
Well, you're counting it as an abstention as a no. That's what you're doing. So yes, go ahead. If that's been the interpretation that you've had for years, that abstentions are equivalent to a no vote, then what you've got is a tie.
But that's not the consensus, though. We never really agreed because we very rarely we have in this scenario. So we need to decide going forward.
Put in our job.
That's something going forward. We need some clarification on there.
Well, when it's not stated one way or the other, and you have a practice that you've been following, that's generally what you do.
Well, in this case, because we've got 2 yays, 1 nay, and 1 abstention, that would seem to me that it passed, though.
You have,
I don't agree with that.
yes. Yes.
Yeah, and the mayor doesn't vote because we don't have
That's
a tie.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Because you had your quorum, and it takes generally 3 votes out of the 4 to pass something, right? If everybody's voting, someone has to remove themselves from the voting by abstaining. You're still not passing something with, I think that's what's happened. You've removed yourself from voting, so your quorum is the 3 that are left, which is enough of a quorum. And 2 is a majority of 3.
So motion passes.
I think it would be helpful to
Clarify.
get for us
We
to
need
get.
what do you call it, parliament?
Yeah, to just sort of get clarity on this, because I feel like if you are not here, right, like,
Yes.
if you're not here, that's one thing, but if you are affirmatively abstaining, then that presents a different question for whether or not we have a quorum. Because there's a quorum of people here to vote, it's just if you...
Because this is something that never really came up like that.
Because typically one abstains if there's like a conflict of interest or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so you could see a situation where like you abstain and you abstain, and then Salida and I vote, like our vote should still count even though these 2 folks abstained.
Have removed themselves from voting.
I know, but...
And I have seen it like that, as a matter of fact.
I'd be...
I just don't want to vote. But it's already passed, but we should
I think probably the best thing to do, and I believe I'm correct, but one place to look is Robert's Rules of Order as to what happens in those situations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
You want to see, a generally accepted way of proceeding.
So I'm going to move to the next item. That motion passed. So the next item is the introduction of ordinance 2020-OR-02, amending the rental license requirements. Mr. Barnes, would you like to expound on that?
Your Honor, this goes back to the code officer enforcing rental residents here in town and making sure that each of the homes that are being rented meet health and safety standards and code standards for everybody. And it was, over the time, it became confusing if if a owner didn't live there, but somebody was living there, they were renting it to a family member or somebody close friend, and they claimed they were family, it wasn't getting inspected. So with this change, if the owner does not live in the house, then they have to pay the rental license fee. The home is inspected, the license is issued. Doesn't matter whether it's family, friends, whoever. If the owner lives in the house and rents a portion of the house to family members, then they're exempt from getting the license. And I think that was what the code officer thought would help her job immensely, where there's confusion sometimes about whether they should get a license or whether they shouldn't get a license. And the whole issue is the reason you do the licenses is for a health and safety and welfare check in terms of the home, so that it has smoke detectors, it has exits, it has the right heating and air conditioning and plumbing, that kind of thing.
All that. Great. Any questions from? I'll accept the motion to introduce ordinance 2020-OR-02, amending the rental license requirements.
I make a motion that we approve
All right, thank you, Ms. Lane.
ordinance 2020 OR
2020-02. Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Great. So the next item is the introduction of ordinance 2020-OR-03, creating a vacant property registration process.
Your Honor, we thought we always had this particular ordinance on the books, and we went back to our old code book. We went back to everything that we had referenced, and unfortunately, I think there was some kind of guideline drawn up by the previous administration, and they never did get it codified and never did get it approved through the council in a manner that would meet the right thing. So the idea being here with the vacant properties is we're just trying to control them so that they don't become a problem for the police department, don't become a problem for vagrants living there. As long as they're registered with us each year, renewal, and they pay their $300 fee for that, then we're fine. And this is applying to residential and vacant lots. So that way we keep an inventory of them and we know what's going on. We keep working with the landlords, hopefully, to get them either occupied or restored if they need to be. But we have a house on Decatur a number of years ago. We had to go in and literally board it all up because vagrants were living in it with an absentee landlord. So this codifies it, puts it on our books, and makes it enforceable.
Thank you for catching that. Is there a motion to approve the introduction of ordinance 2020-OR-03, creating a vacant property registration process? We just vote on the introduction of 2020-OR. Is there a motion?
I make a motion.
Thank you, Ms. Lane. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember White. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Section 2 needs a correction.
The next item is the consideration of an annual community application for the adult mosquito control for 2020 with Prince George's County. Is there a motion to approve? That's the ghost. Is there a motion to approve?
We approve the
All right,
mosquito
is there a
control for 2020.
Is there a second?
Skeeter.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Mosquitoes.
So we're gonna let the mosquito control die?
I second it. I second the skeeter
Thank you.
motion.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Chief, you have a report?
Our statistics for the last 30 days are on the back table. One of the things that we'll highlight is that our stats are up, not because, and that's particularly not because crime has increased, but because we're actually doing more work. Next month, we plan on talking a little more about which is a good thing. Next month, we do plan on talking about some additional rental issues with rental licenses, possibly adopting something that mirrors the county's Airbnb policy. We had some issues the last couple of weeks with a particular Airbnb. That's when we had the violent crime that we that we mentioned. So that's something we may look into for next month for consideration. That particular incident was taken care of. It was isolated. We had a domestic dispute that we talked about that involved a weapon. That was an isolated incident, not dealing with our residents, but someone that came in the town. That's all noted on the statistics. And we're currently working with the Maryland Chiefs Association on a plan of action for the coronavirus. The good thing about the municipalities up north, we have a mutual aid agreement already and an MOU. So if for some reason one department had some issues and stuff, we would be able to enact and respond. But we're working from the Chiefs Association as a whole on where we stand from a public safety standpoint and where we need to be. So we met actually earlier today and we were talking about it. So hopefully we'll have a plan of action by the end of the week. Any questions?
Chief, can you talk a little bit about why the stats look different now than they did previously?
So, talking with the county, there's a couple of reasons, all right? So, because of the zip code, and we've seen this in multiple areas of the town, a lot of things get categorized as Hyattsville, other areas that actually belonged in Edmonston. So I was working with Major Holland, who is the commander over District 1 for the county police, on our statistics and why I wasn't seeing certain things that I knew took place in the town. And so we had to clarify those things, and I had to go to communications to actually get our mapping restructured so that dispatchers can actually stat things to Edmonston. So now, in the past, we weren't getting daily reports on where our statistics were coming from. Now we do. So now everything's broken down a little differently. And then, and furthermore, I'm actually getting on the officers about patrol, and I'm getting on them about, we have something called a premise check. And it's basically, we want to spend more time on people on these streets. We want our residents to see our cars. So premise checks are basically you're doing more patrol in targeted areas around the community. So, and generally in the past they would do it, but there was no recorded way to measure if it was actually being done. Now we have a recorded way because now we're recording it through dispatch, saying this is what is going on, this is what they're doing. So we see an increase in our stats, but it's actually because they're actually working more. You know, if we change the shifting, remember we were on 12-hour shifts now at one point, we're on 10-hour shifts now, but we're seeing more productivity in that 10 hours than we ever did on the 12 hours. So every day we're checking the report. I question the report every day, never to the point where I'm saying, hey, I want more enforcement, because we're not a town that needs to be over policed. But what I am saying is, hey, in 10 hours, this is all I'm seeing, what was going on? You know, what are we working on? And so we're really managing productivity.
So we were kind of undercounting before.
Yeah. And then how we measure our stats is important too. So I have not adopted the way the county police measures. So, for example, the county police measures if a shooting goes out, for example, and it doesn't hit anybody, it's not considered a shooting. It's considered a vandalism by gunfire. Well, I don't agree with that. That's the way that we calculate statistics. So I haven't adopted that. I actually took our statistics based on what Montgomery County uses, and basically it's raw stats. It tells you exactly what's happening, and I think we see better. But I would expect our stats to increase as we get more officers, as we do more enforcement like we're supposed to, especially on areas like Kenilworth Avenue, where major highways that people are coming through. But it does not mean that crime necessarily is an issue. It is going to show that our officers are working. They're getting paid to work, so they're working.
Okay. Thank you.
Can we vote that motion? For the vote? So you're in violation of what's...
But it doesn't say we're in violation.
Council members have asked about Section 7.
About what?
Section 7, election procedures, registration of voters. A, annually on or before the first Monday in April, after notice printed in the town newsletter or in a newspaper of general circulation within the town, the mayor and town council shall appoint the supervisors of elections, at least one from each ward, and such other election officials and judges as deemed necessary. And I think the questions just come up as to whether or not there was a notice printed in the town newsletter or in a newspaper of general circulation.
That stated what?
It says after the notice. In other words, it requires a notice before the appointment can happen. And I'm assuming
Printed
because...
the notice concerning elections? Is that what you're saying? Because it doesn't specify what.
Annually on or before the first Monday in April, after notice printed in the town newsletter, the mayor and town council shall appoint supervisors of elections.
That was done.
What
It was done in the,
Yeah, I don't know if it was or
in the
wasn't.
paper newsletter. Yeah, it was in the newsletter. About election. Yeah, it was in the newsletter. I have it.
Okay, and it also says mayor and council. I know as council member, we had no discussion. I don't know, maybe you had it with half of the council, but I know, I personally
Now, maybe
wasn't part of that discussion.
It was in the newsletter.
What about the part about mayor and council?
I said maybe that's a part, but it was posted in the newsletter.
So could we avoid that vote and start and do the right way, where we have a discussion with mayor and council? We meet in a week.
Okay, I haven't read the whole thing out.
I thought this was done and over with.
Yeah.
Not if it's illegal.
Well, wait a
Oh,
minute.
not illegal.
Annually on or before the first Monday in April, after notice printed in the town newsletter or in a newspaper of general circulation, the mayor and town council shall appoint the supervisors of elections to conduct an election by ballot on the first Monday of May, if not a legal holiday, and if a legal holiday, then on the day following, for the election of officers provided for in Section 5 of this charter. Okay. With all of that read together, I think that it just says annually on or before the first Monday in April. Is that happening every year?
A newsletter went out announcing the upcoming election and the vacancies that would occur.
Right.
This is for appointment judges. This is for judges, not candidates.
Yeah, she asked if it had gone out for the candidates. That's what you just read.
No. I was asking about, is this done every year?
The notice that we did is done every year.
Okay.
Yeah, we've never done a notice about election judges.
Year.
Okay, so you have read that as being requiring a notice of the election to go out on or before the first Monday in April.
Yeah, that's not
Right.
the question. The question is about
Okay, that's
So it wasn't done. So it means that vote shouldn't.
Well, the question that's being raised otherwise is, does the requirement apply to the appointment of the supervisors of elections or the election itself?
We can't vote on the supervisors of elections. Isn't that what it's, if you interpret it the other way, isn't it interpreting that you have to vote on the election board on May 4th?
It says, again,
Because isn't that the day we vote?
Right.
no, it's on or before the first Monday in April, after notice printed in the town newsletter or a newspaper of general circulation, the mayor and town council shall appoint supervisors of elections, or at least, etc. Now, what it doesn't say is annually on or before the first Monday in April, after notice printed in the newsletter about the appointment or about the election. That's the problem that's coming up here.
Yeah, we've always interpreted, and that's how it was done last time, or at least in maybe the time before that even, that we give notice of the election, the upcoming election, by April 1st, which we've done.
Okay.
But that's not addressing that. That's addressing supervisors, election judges. and people who are going to serve on the election board. This
Is that what it's-
advertises the
that what
candidates,
it's
the ballots and candidates running.
Is that what it's addressing?
Well,
That's the way I
that's the argument that's being made.
No, I'm saying, is that what that's addressing?
Well, that's the problem. It's addressing two things in the same sentence. What it used to say, before it got changed, annually on or before the first Monday in April after notice printed, the mayor and council shall appoint election officers, including not less than one judge and one clerk, to conduct an election by ballot on the first Monday of May. Which doesn't help. It's the same problem.
So that being
So,
said,
if you read-
I abstain from the vote because we're not following the rules. Then I go back and I
How
abstain.
can you do that after you don't already voted?
Because that's not what I'm interpreting. We did not. It says that before the first Monday in April, mayor and council is supposed to have a discussion, and also you're supposed to print it in a newspaper or newsletter. Neither one was done. So in that case, please change my vote to abstain.
Well, I do want to clarify. It was printed in the newsletter that there was an election
Okay.
coming,
Could you show
and
me
the
where?
officers.
No,
the
yeah, I know.
positions.
That's,
We've
yeah, I see
never.
this. But
I
but
understand.
that's not
I understand,
right.
Sophia,
Something
but
different.
we've never put in the newsletter about judges' appointments.
Well, it's on the books.
Well, I'm not arguing with you about the books. I'm telling you what past practice
is
has
it on the
been.
books?
So okay, so we were doing it incorrectly. So now that we're all
can't even say that
aware,
we're doing
so
it
now we need to start doing it the right way.
If somebody can give me an opinion that we're doing it incorrectly, then yes, we're happy to do
Isn't
what
that what it says there?
But I don't think Sue Ellen has that clear opinion yet.
The charter, unfortunately, appears to be quite vague and imprecise on this point.
So it's not saying that we did it incorrectly,
And
though.
typically, in those circumstances, is this correct, Sue Ellen? You rely on what you did in past practice
You
to
rely on
sort of
practice.
dictate
Just
what-
like I said about the other one, you rely on
Yeah.
past practice as to how the folks who adopted this provision and have interpreted it.
So why are we paying for lawyers to give us documents and then we don't follow it? I don't understand. It's written there.
No, it's not written there.
It's
That's
written
the-
there, and it says mayor and council. I know I personally did not have a conversation or discussion about changing the election board.
Oh, well, I think that would be the discussion that we had prior to the vote.
It doesn't work like that.
So,
We have a discussion
Okay.
to decide the candidates, to decide the names, not after one person decides who's going to be the judge, who's going to be the clerk, who's going to be Ward 1 clerk, who's going to be Ward 1 2. That's not what that is saying. It says that we decide collectively who's going to be the new judge, who's going to be the new clerk for Ward 1 and Ward 2.
was there a previous discussion like that in prior
We met
years?
2 weeks ago and no discussion.
No, I mean,
No, in
prior.
past years.
elections,
Yeah, but not because we're
prior-
doing something incorrectly. It's like the same thing with the names. We corrected that, and going forward, we changed the names. So I don't understand how we're picking and choosing when we realized that we were doing something incorrectly, and then it comes to light that we're doing it wrong. Okay, I thought we were supposed to know that we have the knowledge. Now we're supposed to follow what's written on paper.
We didn't, I'll correct you on that, we didn't change the way we interpret the name. We put it in writing, but we interpreted all along
Yeah,
that
but
it was
years before,
your
because-
your voter registration name is what went on the ballot.
Yeah, but the years before, it was different.
So, but
Well,
with
it's
this,
supposed to always be however you're registered to,
Yeah, but the
to
years
vote.
before, it was different. We went through this
So-
whole thing last year, so.
but
I
what
remember.
this says, I get what you're saying, and if this was sort of on all four corners, not what we're doing, I would agree with you. But I think what we have here is it's vague. All it says is the mayor and town council shall appoint election officers. That's all it says.
Right.
And so
But
we
did the mayor
that.
and town council do it?
Right,
didn't
well, we
elect.
had to vote on it, right? Like Tracy presented the slate and we voted on it. We could move to amend it with this name and that name and vote on that, which we didn't do.
Why abstain?
That wasn't
Well, I want to change
presented.
my vote, please, because with that information, and I will follow up with the county. Could you change my vote to that I abstain?
I also think we have an answer on the abstentions thing, but we can, to the extent that we want to have a discussion about that, or maybe we want to do that offline, I don't know.
I mean, if Ms. Lane is trying to change her vote, I think that might be important to her. If you have
But abstentions still, it's individuals present that count toward the quorum. So when a quorum is present, a majority vote, that is, a majority of the votes cast, is sufficient for the adoption of any motion.
Good. Okay.
So then that would mean that,
Which is where you went.
yeah, in this case, if you two abstain and we vote yay, then we constitute the majority. Now, if 3 people abstained, we'd have a problem, because then you would have
the majority.
you'd have a plurality rather than a majority. But in this instance, if you've got 2 abstentions and 2 yays, coupled with the fact that our charter says that the mayor, in this instance, breaks a tie.
Breaks a tie. But if you can go back to the first thing that you said. I'm
When-
sorry, I haven't been able to get online here. It's not letting me
Yeah,
in.
no, so Robert's Rules of Order says when a quorum is present, a majority vote, that is, a majority of the votes cast, is sufficient for the adoption of any motion that is in order.
Okay, and the abstention is not casting a vote.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But the quorum is present, though, because we're all here.
Got it. Okay, then that's the answer.
It was 3. It's still a quorum.
So, I hate to go back, but how does the question get answered about in the newsletter about the Board of Elections?
I don't think it's saying that the Board of Election needs to be.
I think our charter could be clarified to be more specific in the future.
It
That would be
says
helpful.
that the notice has to be printed in the newsletter. It says that the Board of
So
Election.
the notice was sent, so that meets the
That's
qualification?
the
I mean, meets the
Oh, I see.
requirement?
Oh, I didn't
And
see
it will be before the first Monday in April, after notice printed in the town newsletter or newspaper of general circulation within the town of
Yeah, things are not
Edmonston.
done the right way at all.
Annually. And that's after the notice was printed in the town newsletter, in which it was. Then it says, which Ms. Lane is referring to, the mayor and town council shall appoint supervisors of elections, at least one from each ward, and such other election officials and judges as deemed. And what Ms. Turbeville was saying is that's what we did tonight. Whether you agree or not agree, that was done.
But that wasn't actually the question. The question was it brought to the entire council? It wasn't brought to the entire council. So the entire council did not have an opportunity to choose names, pick names, decide who they wanted to serve it. That was the question.
And
And also it wasn't printed.
to state that
And also it
again,
wasn't printed.
to state that again, that was the discussion that occurred tonight. Now, with you not agreeing, or if you would have, with you not agreeing, could have changed however we vote, or whoever we would appoint. So if you had another recommendation, tonight was the night. You say, no, I don't agree, I want so-and-so. And then we'd all have to agree or not agree on that. And that's what occurred, was supposed to occur tonight. So we didn't not follow the rule.
You didn't follow the rules. Because
I don't know how many
you
times you
presented
can
names
read
to
it.
us, and
In which you can vote on.
Right, but he didn't give us a choice. This is saying that we have a choice.
No, that's the recommendation. You can go with it, and as a council, you can vote not to go with it and provide a recommendation, and we just vote again whether we want it or not. So we did do
I'm not
what
gonna be
it
the dead horse.
says.
It's your way, Tracy. It's your way. So I'm not gonna be the dead horse.
I don't know what
It's your
that
way.
means, but
Your way.
if I'm not making sense, please let me know.
So going forward in the future, so are there towns where the council and mayor are not actually responsible for appointing the election judges? Because one can kind of see a conflict of interest in having the very people whose election is dependent upon what the election judge says appointing the election judge.
Not that I know of. When the municipalities got home rule, there was a template charter that was provided,
I see.
And in that template charter, it set it up that the election supervisors were appointed by the mayor and council in various ways, of course, because some places don't have a mayor.
Yeah.
But some places the mayor breaks a tie, and some places the mayor doesn't. But yeah, the template charter generally gave that power to the mayor and council.
Okay.
So I actually don't know of anybody that doesn't do it that way. And
What a mess.
So what you said.
What a mess.
Just
Yes.
follow the rules. We'll never miss.
Well, what you said is
But the rules are messy. That's the
right.
problem.
And when there's an ambiguity in the reading of the rule or the charter, then generally speaking, you go with the practice, because that is indicative of what the folks who actually adopt the charter and interpret it meant it for. So, but you should clear it up,
Yeah.
because it is an ambiguous sentence.
Okay. Mr. Barnes?
I don't have anything, Your Honor, other than just a reminder that the casino night's canceled due to the coronavirus threat to the residents. We do have coronavirus information on the website, on the TV channel, and Facebook, and Constant Contact has sent out information on that. I forwarded to you each time I get an update from the county or from one of the health officials. I forwarded that information out to you too. So I would just encourage everyone to be diligent and follow those recommendations as we go through the process.
Thank you. So if there is nothing else for the good of the order, did anybody have any? I'll accept the motion to adjourn our meeting.
I have some.
Okay.
I just want to give kudos to Bladensburg High School, their culinary arts department. They received a grant from the Rachel Ray Foundation.
To what?
The culinary arts department of Bladensburg High School received a grant from the Rachel Ray Foundation to upgrade their culinary art program. I just want to give them kudos because they do an
Upgrade the
exceptional.
culinary?
They do an exceptional job. They have a cafe and everything over there. The teacher there is exceptional, and so their program is really good. So they got like an $8,000, I think, grant, and they were one of 8 schools across the country who won it. So kudos to them, because I've always admired their culinary arts program and their the teacher there. And then also I went to the Blueprint for Education forum with Alonzo Washington at Hyattsville Elementary School, and he just really kind of went through the Kerwin Commission and kind of broke it down for everybody, what it entails and what the commission is doing. It's exceptional. They want to up teachers' salaries to $60,000, starting at that salary for teachers. They want to bring in more pre-K. 3 and 4, make it not just for people who can't afford pre-K, but for everybody. So they right now they're working on how they're gonna pay for it. So,
You're talking about that for a long time.
I know. That's like the main thing. It's for at-risk youth. They have a lot. It's a huge program that they're working on for the Kirkland Commission. So I think if they are able to pass it with the $4.2 billion. Got 10 years to do it. I think it's going to be exceptional when they get it done. That's it for me.
Thank you. Is it any other council members?
I still, as far as excuse me, Kenilworth and Decatur, that light's still a problem. I still say State Highway needs to come back out here and re-evaluate it. People still not giving pedestrians the right of way when they have the right of way. And also, for some reason, between the hours of, I say 9:30 up until 11 o'clock, it's a speed zone. Like down by the gas station, going toward Riverdale. Now, last night, it's a good thing wasn't nobody in the crosswalk, because this car just came speeding down right through the red light, you know, so.
Well, you got a ticket.
Kenilworth Avenue is a highway.
Whoever it was got a ticket, I'll tell you that. The camera caught it.
Yeah, well,
We're back on
still, I think, well, by hiring another officer, maybe there'll be more of a presence, and they'll notice it, and people start to slow down for once.
Yeah.
That's all I heard.
All right. I'd like to mention also that PGCMA will be canceled
Oh,
this month. Yes.
it was over Coleman Manor, wasn't
It was going to be at Coleman Manor, yeah. You'll be getting an email about that, but you get to know it firsthand. And also, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who did anything with the Black History program. It was a huge success, a huge success. There were people there from Edmonston and all over. We also had County Council member Jolene Ivey was there, and Senator Augustine was there. We had Delegate Nicole Williams. She stopped by. Mayor Barrow from Coleman Manor was supportive. Mayor Robinson was supportive. So it's great to have the support for such a program. And I'd like to say that Ms. Avery, you did an awesome job. And Mr. Barnes, thanks for coming back early from Pennsylvania to be there. It was great. It was a great community event. And we also supported I know council members also supported other municipalities during their Black History program. So I just wanted to make mention of that. And also just remind you about PGCMA. Now, we might have a conference call, though, so look out for the email. Might be a conference call to discuss some matters, because in April, Prince George's County Municipal Association, we're having a wine and cheese where we invite our county council members and local businesses. And I was able to talk with CEO Carla Reed of WSSC, and she's going to be able to come out. She was coming out for March because she was one of the ones I wanted to highlight for Women in History Month, but due to our cancellation and her not being able to do so, she's going to come out in April. So looking for you guys to support that as well.
Last one was in Sea Pleasant, right?
It was at Sea Pleasant is going to be April. That's where the wine and cheese is. Oh, yes, that's the question. Yeah. And they take care of part of that bill for us too, so it's really good. It's good to know people. All right, so right now I'll accept a motion to adjourn this wonderful meeting.
I'll make a motion we adjourn tonight's meeting.
I second.
Great. All in favor, please indicate.
All right.
Wonderful. Meeting is adjourned. Who was that, Johnson?
I think let's start doing
And
work
White.
sessions at 3:30, so.